we are going to be starting off with Mr. Thor Simonsen. He is a Danish-Canadian artist and entrepreneur. Originally from the Faroe Islands, Thor spent his childhood and teenage years in Inuit, Nunavut, where he currently lives with his wife and young son. Thor founded the Inuit-based consulting and production company Hitmakerz. The company has 3 employees and a mission to help improve quality of life for Nunavut using art, media, entertainment, and education. So I'd like you to help me welcome Thor to the podium. Thanks.
Welcome everybody. Tua Simonsen Muyunga, Amalu Inuit Uchalo Nitungamikiyuk. Etalo Musa Yauyunga. For everyone in English, my name is Thor Simonsen. I'm from Iqaluit, and I created this company called Hitmakerz. Here we go. That's me. So I'd like to start off way back in time. This is me when I'm about 5 years old. And as you can probably see from the guitar and the look on my face, I'm really into music. And I wanted to be like Michael Jackson. I wanted to be on a stage, kind of like now actually. And but I wanted to perform and create music because I believed and still believe that music can change the world. So fast forward 25 years. This is me last week in Cape Dorset. As you can see, not a lot has changed. I've got a little bit of a beard now, and I'm a bit taller, but my personality is the same. Now, I didn't quite reach my dream of becoming a pop star like I wanted, but I did in a way, and I'm going to explain that a little bit later. A 2-minute version of my story. My family is from Faroe Islands in Denmark, and I moved to Iqaluit when I was 7. My stepdad was Inuit, and after returning to Europe to get an education in music and design, I moved back to Iqaluit to work as a media person for the government of Nunavut. So a lot of what I did was I traveled around to different communities in Nunavut, and I photographed things. I took pictures of industrial things, of arts, of people working. Actually, most of the GM material you see, I have a photo or 2 in there. And it was during one of these community trips, Cape Dorset, where I was in my hotel and I had this epiphany. I had this amazing idea. I thought, if I have music production, and if I can find an inspiring Inuit artist, and if we can go around donating studio equipment to these communities, these remote communities that don't have a lot of artistic infrastructure, if we do that, then we can create some amazing Inuit pop music. Now, I've highlighted pop because there is a lot of great Inuit music, but a lot of it's folksy, it's a little bit older, and I wanted it to be pop. I'm a very poppy personality, and I have experience in the European music industry, and I wanted the music to be popular in order to get the kids involved. And I knew that there were some benefits if we created amazing Inuit pop music. And these included pride, both for the artist and for the community. It would develop actual careers in music. I'd seen this from my days in Europe, in the music industry there, that there's actually money to be made in this industry, especially in a place like Nunavut, where there's not a lot of jobs, and there's a ton of opportunity for artistics, for art to be sold. Also, it could create cultural gems. This is not my poor spelling. There's something weird with the programming. I wanted to create albums that families of Inuit and Nunavut could listen to for generations and to be instant classics. Also, language preservation. If kids are singing along with their family to this music, then the Inuit language is strengthened a lot, and this is something that we're very aware of in Nunavut. Also, it would create marketing for the territory of Nunavut. I'm from Nunavut, and I feel very passionate about that. And I want the rest of Canada and the world to know that it's a real place, it's a good place, and I want it to be branded that way. And lastly, I wanted it to create healing via creative expression. And from all the books I've read on trauma healing, the arts is a great place to begin the discussion on that. So I called my friend Kelly Fraser, who's also now my business partner, and I pitched her this idea. I'll create the music, I'll produce the music, and we'll teach them how to work in the arts, and you do songwriting and language revitalization. And she says, yes, no problem. So we wrote a proposal. We called it Hitmakerz. Now there's a lot of business people here, and some of you are probably thinking, ooh, the 90s call, they want their Z back. But I wanted it to be young, I wanted it to be fun, I wanted it to be poppy, and ultimately I want this company to be the #1 music company in the world. So I'm naming it Hitmakerz, and we're setting the bar high and then waiting until we get there. This is the poster for our first tour, called the Nunavut Hitmakerz 2016. As you can see, we did 3 communities in a row, back to back. That was a big mistake, because we filled it with a lot of awesome content, concerts, workshops, you name it. It was exhausting, but it was also really, really a learning experience for us, and it was overwhelmingly positively received. We started with 3, and then we did 5 more, and then this year we've done 2 more. So we've been to a total of 10 communities across 2 of the regions of Nunavut. And we've had thousands of attendees, and I'm sure thousands of participants as well. On the first night of our tour, we had this concert. It was the opening concert where Kelly performed her art. And I should mention that Kelly is a very well-known Inuit singer, especially in Nunavut. And you could catch her here, I think tomorrow or tonight.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow, yeah. And if not, look her up, Kelly Fraser. She's an amazing artist. We would do these concerts, and at the end of them, we'd take this selfie. And it started out kind of as a joke, but everyone really loved it, and we started calling it, the biggest selfie in Rikitatuak history, or the biggest selfie in Honlinlet history, and kids got really involved, and it was a lot of fun. And after a while, we did it in every community we went to, and after a while, it got kind of crazy, and I'm not sure there's anyone in Nunavut who's on Facebook who hasn't been seen and or tagged in one of these photos. And shit just got crazier and crazier. Like, we had Facebook posts, people were commenting on our workshops, they were taking pictures at the movie nights, of the feasts, taking sort of fan photos with the artists, and even the media started picking us up. So we had Nunavut News, Above and Beyond. We even had a documentary on the National, CBC National, and we had like interviews from radio stations overseas and all of this stuff. But despite all the popularity and all the flashiness of our workshops, Kelly and I, from the first community, we had one question that we really tried to figure out, which was, what is the real impact? Because despite all the hype and all the happiness and positivity, we wanted this to have a real lasting impact for Nunavut, the people we're trying to serve. And after 10 communities, 3 years, about 50 flights, and a lot of funding money going towards this is what we found. This picture right here, this is Kelly, and she's standing and she's writing syllabics. This is Itimatalik, written in Inuit syllabics. She's getting feedback from kids in the community on how to write their own song. So she's asking them for themes, she's asking them to shout out words, and I'm standing there with a funny face and sort of just playing tunes to it, and then we record it. And what this does is, for one, it shows the kids that their language is real, that it's acceptable, that it's valuable, that it has a place in the world and that people appreciate it. And also for many of these kids, it just gives them a sense of pride. We have, on the last night, we have closing ceremonies where we bring all the kids up on stage and they perform the song for a crowd as big as this one, if it were full. And that's pretty groundbreaking for a lot of them, because if you've been to the communities, a lot of kids are very shy there. Hello. And they're very happy to be up there. And even for some of the kids, we also have a talent show later on, where a lot of them, we get dozens of people signing up to go and do their own art. And a lot of it's like this. It's traditional Inuit drum dancing, or it's throat singing, or we had an elder come up and tell stories once. We've had comedians. We've had the whole gambit of people come up and perform, which also creates this sense of pride, not just in themselves, but in themselves as a community, because the amount of talent we've seen in these communities is staggering. This is Mo Kelly is his name. He won $100 last weekend for his rendition of Woe Is Me, changed to Mo Is Me. He had the town going crazy. It was a lot of fun. And this is what I focus on during the tour. So I teach music production. I'm a bit of a nerd and I like to mix the music and produce it. So here I am teaching some kids how to use the equipment that we then donate to each community. So if you go to 10 communities in Nunavut, you'll find a working version of a music recording studio in that community. And the kids know how to use it. By the end of it, we get them to use it themselves because we're telling them like, hey, this is your studio. We want you to use it, mess around with it, break it if you have to, you tinker with it, and really get your hands dirty. Because then they end up recording their peers. And they end up creating all sorts of artwork that we have nothing to do with and we can't predict. And it's really a lot of fun to see this process happening. Another aspect to this, apart from songwriting and music production, is the motivational speaking. And this is why I stole a wireless mic here, because I'm a little bit used to talking like this, and it's fun. I pace when I talk. I digress. So we do these motivational talks, and this is mostly about Kelly, because she grew up in Senekiluak, Nunavut, and she has faced a lot of the same problems and challenges that these young people in, this is Arctic Bay, that they have faced. Me, I'm there sort of just to back up, to help give whatever guidance I can, because you know, I'm white AF, and I know how to like structure things, and I can help from that side of things. We also do some outreach to youth centers and schools, and really try to get the kids engaged. And it's sometimes a really tough process, because a lot of them can be reserved, and they don't really want to talk. So dealing with kids and sort of drawing out their best selves is also something we've spent a lot of time doing. And another part of it is just being a good, positive role model in these communities. You know, we give a lot of time to the kids when we're there, just to hang out, because we come in with this big, grandiose show. We're like, hey, pop stars of Nunavut, yeah, let's do this. And then after all the show's done, everyone's hyped, and then they come up and they're so excited. And then we want to show them, we're just people, this is just a regular day, and to show them that, especially for Kelly, we want to show them that this is a way of life that they can achieve too. You can spend your life doing what you love. Whether that's music, or being a pilot, or being a cook, or being a writer, being an engineer, whatever it is, you can do it, and this is one way that we're showing you now. The next step then is, we find a few individuals and we mentor them. We ask them, what are your challenges? How can we help? We've been trying to focus this on the arts, but more than not, we're finding that a lot of challenges are just personal issues, dealing with school, dealing with education, family life. We offer them whatever assistance we can, and especially for the ones who are musically inclined, that's when we can give them a lot of help. We also participate in communities and try to do a lot of good there. So for the first 2 years, it was just Kelly and myself, but in 2018, we hired Angela Magwalik to come and act as an instructor and a performing artist. Now the thing about Angela is that we actually found her while we were doing our workshop in Inuit. So she's kind of a success story in herself. And she was the shyest of the shy. I remember when we were recording her, she was there like, I was like, yeah, sing a little bit louder. And now she's giving big talks in front of like 600 people, and we're so proud of her. And she tells the kids, I was in your seat. I was doing this before, and look at me now. Now I can do this. I've broken out of that shell, and you can do it too. So we're super happy to have her on board. And as for me, I'm trying to back out of this. As much as I love being in front of a crowd, I really find happiness in being behind the scenes now. I'm a little bit shy, not like this, but in real life. And when I'm behind the scenes, I can push the responsibility and all the efforts to my employees now, because Angela and Kelly, they're both on staff. And my role is really more to facilitate the growth of this project, whether it be within music or film or anything else. And because of this, we've actually started producing albums, and we've done 4 albums so far. We've got another 4 or 5 in the works, and they're getting traction. Some of them are Juno nominated, some of them have topped the iTunes pop charts, and And we actually have like a little group of artists that we're currently working with. These are not all of them, these are about half of them. And some of them we're just mentoring, some of them we're doing full-fledged albums with, we're planning tours for some of them, developing spin-off projects with them. And it's really amazing to see how we can expand our capacity to help individual artists. Because at the end of the day, having 10,000 people in selfie photos is great, but it doesn't matter one bit to that one person who's not getting the help that they need. So these are our current artists, but what we're really interested in, and what I'm sure you're interested in, is the future workforce, which is our potential artists. And they're right here, somewhere in here. I don't know their name, I don't know what they look like, but they're in there. And if we can give them a little something to give them a leg up, to get them inspired, to flip that switch in their mind, that's when we're really going to start to make changes. And it doesn't have to be music. Our approach to this has been music from the start because it's a universal language and because everybody enjoys it. But we really want to focus on giving whatever we can to the people who need it. And oftentimes, it's not even us giving the help. We're just pointing them to, usually it's a resource in the community, whether it's the EDO or the school principal or a counselor there or some elders who've helped us out. It can be any amount of things, but just knowing that it's possible to reach your dream, there's hope to get there, and we want to give you the next one thing that you can do. And we're open to helping if you're asking for it. So even though I didn't exactly achieve my mega dream of being a pop star now, I'm very happy with that. Because the work that I feel that I'm doing with my team is doing the same thing that a pop star does, which is changing the minds and hearts of people in order to change the world. So thank you very much for your time.